Okay, so for this year's Halloween review series, we're going to be talking about various different films. In the first one, we're going to talk about something the core wanted to talk about, and that is the Tremors movie and series franchise. So here goes.
Kevin Bacon,
We could get in People magazine.
Fred Ward,
People tell National Geographic.
Hello and welcome to Brand X Reviews.
Welcome to the Halloween special. So what we're going to do this year?
Well, it's the 7th annual Halloween special, so, I was thinking maybe we should talk about Hellraiser. What about you?
I don't know, I think Tremors would be better. I know, let's rock, paper, scissors. Well, hey!
Damn it!
Tremors it is!
We didn't actually, rehearse that. Could have gone like the way.
Yes.
Oh, we're talking about Hellraiser, and this is a little bit...
It's like, damn, not prepared for this. No, Tremors, cult film. It is one of those things that's just, it shouldn't be anywhere near as good as it is. It's a film about, giant worms that eat you.
Yeah, and they are giant. They're the size of a building or something.
Yeah, the initial's probably pretty much universally considered a classic. I don't think anybody really argues that one. With Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward as the lead characters. Handyman, Val and Earl.
Handyman Earl, we are handymen. That was the...
It's I'm planning stuff out till the middle of next week.
Yeah.
You're barely thinking about tomorrow.
Yeah, damn it, Earl, yeah. It's the kind of South America kind of, not South America, the southern of America.
Yeah, kind of like Texas. It's basically somewhere near Vegas, I think the town's supposed to be.
What's it called? Perfection?
Yeah, Perfection. It's this shitty little town of 14 people. Val and Earl are the handymen. There's
the one out.
There's Egg Shen.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
wait, no, it's...
that was...
No, it's Chang, I think his name is. Yeah. It's very generic, sounding name. He runs the store, and there's, a geologist student that's there, checking up on the place. It's very isolated, it's kind of up in the mountains. And there's Michael Grossman, who is, a crazy... I want to say, kind of survivalist. Doesn't trust the government, thinks Russia's going to bomb them at any moment.
And there's his wife as well. Hadn't she left him in the second one?
Yeah, by the second one she's left him. But yeah, basically it's this weird little collection of kind of oddball rednecks and kind of weirdos. They kind of managed to kind of just look into a really good cast that kind of worked. It's quite a funny film, really.
Yeah, it was always one of my favourites actually. Around about when did it come out? 89 or something like that.
Yeah, it was quite an old film.
Because we got it when it were on Sky. Somebody recorded it for us off Sky, so it'd have been 91, 92, and it was one of my favourite films at the time, and a lot of rewatch kind of value to it as well. Kevin Bacon, I think, was a fairly established actor at the time, so he was the main sort of bankable name in the film. It was kind of a take on a lot of the older sort of B movies, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The sort of 50s and 60s.
I mean, it's that perfect era. I mean, I remember watching it, I think it'd been on Channel 4 or something, and my dad had recorded it and we watched it one Saturday morning. But it was just that kind of right era of practical special effects where the worm effects actually don't look too bad, even though occasionally the graboid tentacles that come out of the worm look a bit like a Muppet thing.
Yeah.
But still, you'd say it's pretty good. They've held up reasonably well.
And the kind of tone of the film that they were going for, it kind of worked with that because it paid homage to older films anyway. So
it also kind of turned it a bit on its head, because rather than being it's all at night and you don't see the monster, it's all at day. It's all in the bright sunlight. It's just the things coming from underground, so you don't see it until it gets you.
Well, that was the thing, because there's a lot of mystery to the beginning of the film, because you don't know exactly what it is, whether it's a person that's killing people and or whether it's a lot. I think you kind of get the impression that it's these worms, because you see these small worms and they think that it's lots of them, but it turns out it's just one big one, and the smaller worms are actually the tongues that come out. Hence the name graboids.
Yeah, because they find a guy they think he's gone nuts and got drunk and climbed up a phone tower, and then he's apparently stayed up there until he died of heat stroke and dehydration. What the fuck's going on here? And of course, you find out later on it's because he got chased up there by the graboids, as they call them.
Yeah, and there's like quite a few people that die in this, and some of them you don't actually see, and then there's a few that you slowly, when you do see them die, but you as an audience member don't get to see what it is, just like the characters, because there's a bit where the guy's getting sucked into ground. You don't see anything, just the ground basically opening up and swallowing him. And then I think later on there's just his like head under a hat, isn't there?
Yeah, they kind of lift up and he's going to go.
I think that happened to the Buff that one time.
Yeah, you got buried up to his neck, and then no. Buff doesn't like us talking about that incident.
Well, Topher came and took advantage of him. And
then again, that would be like kind of escaping from MC, wouldn't it? Escaping from perfection.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, they spawned an entire series of films. Like I say, we've got the complete collection here.
I got this earlier in the year. I haven't watched anything beyond number 2. The second one was the first. Everything from 2 onwards was straight to video, and the second one was a fairly honourable sequel.
Yeah, originally it was actually supposed to have Kevin Bacon back, but they couldn't get him because of like scheduling stuff. Because ironically, Kevin Bacon does seem to be pretty up for this like franchise. But yeah, it's just Fred Ward who returns. Where it turns out that after the run-in with the Graboids in the first one, they kind of got screwed over a little bit, and he didn't end up making like half the money they think, even though there's like a Graboids video game and stuff got made. They basically got screwed, and they get kind of drawn back in to investigate it. Although this is where it starts getting a little bit silly, because you start getting the Graboid life cycle. In the second one, they have basically the thing where they kind of give birth to like lots of little like Graboid creatures on 2 legs. They call them Shriekers. They're not the worst idea, to be fair, in the series. They kind of hunt by like body heat and stuff.
Yeah, because doesn't he like cover himself with like Buff did that one time with Turbo?
No!
Oh, no, it was a fire extinguisher. Sorry.
Yeah.
And
basically to hide his body heat.
Covers himself with all that, and then it starts to melt. It's been a long time since I've seen number 2. I've seen number 1 like so many times.
Like I say, number 2, you could start seeing the cracks in the series going on from that point, but
like
it's not bad.
94-ish, 95, something
yeah.
like that.
I say you still get. I think it's Earl who's the one that comes back. I think Val's. Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Like I say, originally it was supposed to be both of them, but in this case it's just him comes back, and he's kind of like hooked up with like another like kind of loser idiot who's kind of like his sidekick in this.
Yeah.
And again, you get the return of Michael Grossman, the Burt Gummer, the insane survivalist. He really starts taking over the series after the second film. Because by the time of the third one...
The third one, Back to Perfection.
Yeah, it basically returns back to the town of Perfection. Cheng, having died off in like the first film, the market's now run by his daughter. Burt Gummer's still living there. There's no sign of Val and Earl by this point, although they still do get referenced. There's some other characters that return from the original one. This is where it starts getting a bit stupider, because they've now added another part to the Graboid life cycle. Like, instead of just the Shriekers that like grow out of the Graboids, now the Shriekers evolve into arse blasters. And I'm not even kidding. This isn't some reference to you.
I would say, well, it's a Halloween special. Can
Yeah, well, no, these fly by farting and igniting the gas. It's very silly. But yeah, this is where you really start seeing Burt Gummer taking over the kind of
franchise.
Yeah, as the only character who keeps returning throughout the films. This one was also the setup to a short-lived sci-fi TV series, which actually like not bad. You can get it on things like Amazon now for very little, although this does have the slight problem that a lot of things have, namely the fucking Sci-Fi channel, the sci-fi channel.
Yeah.
Or Sci-Fi as they renamed themselves, because I refuse to pretend that's still sci-fi.
Yeah.
And basically, I don't know what it is about like TV executives that don't quite get how TV shows sometimes work. These had like continuity episode to episode, so they showed them completely out of order. And if you get them on something like Amazon, they're still out of order, so it's actually worth looking up what order these things are actually supposed to be watched in. It's really stupid. There's like one bit where it's like a basically like a plot point. They're like, oh well, there haven't been any Shriekers in the valley, so how come we've got an arse blaster running around? And it's like, well, hang on, the last episode you had Shriekers in the valley, so that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Of course, these episodes should not have been back to back. They should have been miles apart in the like series. The series is also notable for having Christopher Lloyd in it as a recurring character. Though again, screwed over by the ordering of the episodes. he's kind of introduced and shows up before the episode where he's actually introduced and shows up in the town. So it's like they then have to do a sort of flashback to him being introduced. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's really dumb.
And this was established after the third film?
Yeah, this went straight on from the third film. You got Burt Gummer returning. You got Cheng's daughter returning running the auction mart. You got this girl called Rosalita taking over the ranch that's been vaguely mentioned as being in perfection. And a few other characters. They couldn't get the single mum back, so they ended up having to recast her because it was like she had other prior commitments, so couldn't come back in. Although you were asking me at one point, like, oh, who shows up from the the films into the series? Well, the answer to that is if Sci-Fi hadn't fucked it over, we would have got Kevin Bacon returning, Fred Ward returning as the original characters, but Sci-Fi decided to fuck it over before that could happen.
Well, they cancelled it before you got to that, right? Okay.
Yeah, you got to about 10, 13 episodes, if that. You got about half a series, and then it was like, no, it's not pulling in the massive numbers that the previous show we cancelled were. So even though it's doing quite well, we're going to cancel that one as well. It's like, fuck's sakes.
So then they did a prequel with the fourth film.
Well, with the fourth film, it was kind of coming out when they were making the series, so I don't think they really wanted to go forward in the timeline again, because that could fuck over the series, if you get me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In this one, it's like a flashback to the past of perfection, where it's actually rejection rather than perfection, and you've got a lot of the same characters that would basically be in the series moving forward, there's an ancestor of Burt Gummer and stuff. It's alright, but I think at that point the series was really starting to run out of ideas.
What was that one called? The Legend Begins. Tremors 4, The Legend Begins.
Like I say, it's even kind of contradicts other stuff, because they have references to the other ones of them being in hibernation for 300 years, and it's like, well, that's not 300 years ago, isn't the Wild West?
Yes, it's like a Western kind of thing.
And also kind of stupid stuff they refer to the graboids as being a pre-Cambrian life form, where the earliest form of life, and it's like, well, okay, I could sort of understand the giant worms, kind of, maybe they were feeding off single cell life forms in the soil, kind of like whales and plankton or something. But why would they need this incredibly evolved life form where they then mutate into shriekers and then mutate into ass blasters? It's like, what the fuck? So we've gone from single cell life forms immediately to this fancy multi-staged life form. It's like, what the fuck? This makes no sense.
Tofu was pre-Cumbrian, wasn't it?
No, he's the Earl of Cumbria. There's a difference.
You get it? Yeah, so...
that kind of killed the series for a little while, to be honest, until fairly recently with Tremors 5.
Because they both had Jamie Kennedy, and Michael Gross is still in.
Yeah. Jamie Kennedy's a bit lame. I mean, he's not that bad. He basically takes over as Burt Gummer's illegitimate son. Burt Gummer returns in both the films, although the sixth one is definitively his last one. The fifth one, they're supposed to be in Africa, and it's alright. It's more of what you like of Tremors. It doesn't do anything that spectacular. But the sixth one, by that point, it was really getting a bit lame.
And this is quite recent, the sixth one, isn't it? Last couple of years or something.
They're supposed to be in the Arctic, and it's like, graboids in the snow. So there's a heat wave going on, so actually a lot of the filming's just done in the same places they did the previous Tremors 5, which was in Africa. So it's like, okay, this is really dumb.
Doesn't make too much sense. But I haven't watched these since the second one onwards, so I will give them a watch.
Mm-hmm.
And
as a whole, it's a fun series.
From what you, because obviously we've addressed people from the movies showing up in the series, and from what you said before, there's nobody in the series that turns up in the movies, isn't it? It's not required viewing.
No, not really. I mean, episode 3 is very much to set up the series. Like I say, characters from episode 3, the third film,
3,
show up in the series, because the series was basically spawned from the third movie.
Right.
They set up things like there's a graboid that's sterile that won't evolve into the Shrieker stage, which is permanently in residence around perfection. So that's why it's like a wildlife preserve, and nobody else is allowed to fuck with the area because of this. Like I say, it works for the series, but yeah, there's no backwards continuity. By episode 5 and 6, they barely reference perfection. In fact, I think in 6, pretty much all that's left is Chang's mini market and Bert, for some reason, is running it for the daughter now. It's weird. It's not very well explained. But that wasn't the final bit of news for Tremors. In 2018, there was a leaked trailer of a potential other shot at a Tremors series, this time with Kevin Bacon himself. Have you seen the trailer? Or?
I think so, yeah, a long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, it looked pretty good, and it was being done by Blumhouse as well, so they had a pretty fair chance. Unfortunately, it got passed over by, I think, Amazon or Netflix. And then it's like, oh, maybe the Sci-Fi Channel will actually do the right thing for once. No, fuck, it got completely cancelled. So what we've got now is like a pretty cool-looking trailer with Kevin Bacon back as Val. In interviews, he even said, as like Kevin Bacon is like, it would be quite interesting to see this character kind of, you know, this many decades on, still stuck in the 90s, where he was sort of like almost like a pop star for like 5 seconds due to the whole graboid things. He was like a celebrity, and now it's like gone and he can't like deal with it.
Yeah.
So when the worms come back, it's like it's his return to kind of, you know, fame almost.
Yeah, it could work. You got a pretty good concept.
Yeah.
There.
But yeah, unfortunately, thank you, Sci-Fi Channel. Once again, you shit over everything we love.
Yeah.
Good one.
We'll have to leave it there anyway, because we're running out of time.
Yeah, well, at least we've managed to get away without the pissing into the canyon scene from the start of the first film.
Yeah, that's pretty much how the film opens.
Yeah, Kevin Bacon pissing into a canyon. And how the trailer also has an opening of Kevin Bacon pissing into a canyon. Luckily, you haven't found the clip of me pissing in the toilet. So.
Yeah, I think we put that on the back of one video. I can't remember which video it was now. But...
Alright, so yeah, we'll be continuing on with more of these reviews in leading up to Halloween.
Yeah, we might do some other Skype or something. We'll record some stuff over the next few days leading up to Halloween, and we'll pretty much drop these videos as and when. We're not going to say what these videos are going to be about until the time we do it.
I think you may have given it away with Hellraiser.
We're talking about it. It's a possibility. I don't know. Maybe not. But yeah, we'll leave it there. And say,
have a great Halloween. If you're looking for something to watch, give the Tremors series a try. They are amusingly cheesy, and the first one, genuinely a decent horror film.
Right. You're going to have to knock that off, by the way, so bye.